Royal FM, the listeners' radio.
Les 14 Free Boy.
Orange ajoute flop les millions dans ta vie. Des voitures de l'heure, des voyages pour atterrir au Maroc. Pour enjoy tout ça, souscris à un forfait Orange Bonus au Jazz 111 étoiles 1 Jazz ou Jazz 150 Jazz ou go sur Max X. Orange est là.
Orange est là.
Subscribe to Masuk for a strong and prosperous economy.
The 2PM Newscast
with
Mapala Zita.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. You're welcome to today's Royal Afternoon Edition, the 2 p.m. news on 88.4 Royal FM and live on YouTube at Royal FM Cameroon with me, Mapalazita. The headlines. Royal FM, the listeners' radio, is 10 years old today, January the 20th, 2016 to January the 20th, 2026. The journey with listeners has been a beautiful one.
10 years is not 10 days, man. So all of us have to join Pastor Bisai Emmanuel to celebrate this special day. So happy birthday to Royal FM.
Out of Cameroon, U.S. President Donald Trump has today vowed that there is no turning back on his goal to take over Greenland from Denmark. And in sports, the indomitable Lionesses of Cameroon are placed in Group D of the 2026 Africa Women's Cup of Nations to run from March the 17th to April the 3rd, 2026 in Morocco. Ladies and gentlemen, those were the headlines. Good afternoon. You are welcome to the 2 p.m. news on Royal FM. And as you heard in our lead story, Royal FM 88.4, the listeners' radio, is today celebrating its 10th anniversary. Established by the promoter Reverend Pastor Bisai Emmanuel in 2016, the radio house, through its diversified content, has made great positive impact in the media milieu since its existence. Frinwe Crispin is our head of Reporters Brigade, and she has a recap of Royal FM's evolution since its creation.
Back then, Royal FM carried the frequency 82.1 and aired its first newscast on the 20th January 2016 at 6 a.m. and 12 p.m. with presentation the present Director General of Royal FM, Roger Kiek, and Grace Limunga Mukake, former employee and editor-in-chief at Royal FM.
I remember the very first newscast was 6 a.m. news. I think I presented the very first newscast in English. By that time, we were at Mesasi. We had the Reverend Emmanuel Bisai who was there. The other colleagues were all present, and you had to be at the toppest of your form. It was wonderful. I remember when we used to go out on coverage with other colleagues from the French department.
The creation of the listeners' radio was a relief to many media men and women who had recorded a lot of challenges in the media milieu when it comes to working conditions. Bertrand Owona, Royal FM's editor-in-chief and socio-political editorialist, is one of Royal FM's first employee.
It was a very big moment for us because most of us was coming from medias who was not well organized. There was some who has many months without salaries and many other problems. So when the project of Royal FM was making off, it has been for us a very big opportunity to show what we are able to do in journalism.
The promoter of Royal FM, Reverend Pastor Bisai Emmanuel Noel, during the establishment of the radio, made his vision known to his employee, and so far it has been a success.
I cannot say that it will always be a paradise. It has been some moments when we ask ourselves if the project will be continued, but God always help us, and our promoters always give monies, give spiritual assistance in order to see this project continue. Today, after 10 years, I can greet the God Almighty. I can congratulate our promoter, the Reverend Pastor Emmanuel Noel Bisai. I can tell to him, thank you very much for giving us this gift.
Grace Limunga Mukake further appreciates Royal FM 10 years later.
10 years after, a lot has changed. I still listen to the radio. We have new colleagues who've come in. New programs have come up. New style of management. And I even heard of colleagues who traveled to Morocco. It's a very good thing. They went on mission. It's a very good thing, very good opening for the radio.
Moreover, Royal FM so far is still and continue making its name known in the media milieu as years go by.
Fringwe Crispin in that beautiful report. Now, since its creation on January the 20th, 2016, Royal FM 88.4 has always placed the listener at the center of its programs, a special place that has been appreciated by millions of radio faithfuls in Yaoundé and the world at large. Get some of them in this report put together by Evans Williams Njobati.
Royal FM has been the radio of the downtrodden people, the taxi drivers, the truck pushers, the market women. In fact, all this time, if you are not tuning to Royal FM, means you are not in Yaoundé.
It's the #1 listening radio the whole world is getting it because Royal FM has the best listeners, have the best journalists, have everything. That is so good.
These are the views of the millions of listeners of the frequency modulation 88.4 FM who shares their appreciation of the quality of information dished out on Royal 88.4 FM. Floribel even goes further to list the different programs.
Their newscasts at midday and later in the afternoon are always very captivating. The station manager, he also runs a program at Roger Kiek. I follow the team called Repel Actu. So we learn so many things from different people who come on the program to clarify us on many issues. So both who are down the street who don't have time to read, or sometimes you have a guest on the page. A specialist. Royal FM is, I think, one of the best FM frequencies in the city.
Christopher, on his part, is seduced by the workload done by each employee.
With this type of communication and information that you put to the public, we are going to go a long way to make development in our nation. And I pray that English department, the number of journalists that are there, I think the number is small because I see people are so jam-packed with a lot of work. I see you people are every day, Monday to Sunday, and you don't even have rest for yourself. Please, they should try and ameliorate the English section of your radio.
Given that the radio is an initiative from the Reverend Pastor Bisai Emmanuel Noel, Mama Vera, or also known by the name Lambre the boy, praises this promoter.
10 years is not 10 days, man. So all of us have to join Pastor Bisai Emmanuel to celebrate this special day. A special day indeed, because this day is the day he opened the radio. He created this radio. So we'll give him all the glory, all the thanks, and all the honor today. So happy birthday to Royal FM and many more years to Royal FM.
As for Ngam Benedict, another listener, the radio star even aims even bigger.
It's a radio just like others, but it's a radio that withstands other things that can make other radios to fall. So Pastor Emmanuel beside made a dream, and the dream became a reality. I don't make 1 hour before listening to Royal FM. If I don't listen to Royal FM, the radio has made 10 years. So I just say the sky is the limit. So the radio can go even audiovisual. That's what I have as a dream.
10 years later, Royal FM slogan remains the listener's radio.
Evans Williams and Jobati, and it is indeed the listeners' radio. Still to come on the listeners' radio, ladies and gentlemen, economic experts look at GECAM's call for a reshuffle of Cameroon's cabinet.
We may simply recommend GECAM to study in advance the economic situation of Cameroon before claiming whatsoever.
Welcome back. If you are just tuning in, you are listening to the 2 p.m. news on Royal FM and watching us live on YouTube at Royal FM Cameroon. We talk politics this time around. The president of the South Regional Council, Eric Jevendo, has been summoned to appear before the ad hoc disciplinary committee of the Cameroon People's Democratic Movement, the CPDM party's central committee. Slated for this January the 22nd, the convocation comes 24 hours before his official installation, a procedure that has angered some regional councils, or rather regional councillors, who plan on staging a demonstration before the party's headquarters in Yaoundé. Francois Bikoro is a regional councillor who spoke on the microphone of our political desk editor and editorialist Jean-Marie Anaba.
We will agree with that to prevent this from happening again in the next election, for a proper administration and organization of the party from the grassroots level. It's appropriate for the disciplinary committee of the CPTM Central Committee to draw everyone's attention to this matter, and certainly to draw conclusions that may include sanctions. If one tribe already has a minister, if another already has a general director, we must fight so that other immigrants and non-native can feel comfortable in the vibrant life of the city we call the municipality or the town hall. Things went well that day, and the president of the regional council was sworn in, and for the regional councillors, that was the end of it, and party activities resumed in earnest. As for the resettlement, which you must have read and heard, it's nothing but pure fabrication. There wasn't another meeting in the meantime. The
Minister of Housing and Urban Development, Celestine Kecha-Cortez, has launched a project to revamp the cities of Yaoundé and Douala. Dubbed Sustainable Cities and Land Management, the project is estimated to cost about 120 billion francs CFA. This development has been saluted by so many Cameroonians. Glory Ngange caught up with some of them and now reports.
These projects include urban infrastructure and management of markets, security and governance, an initiative which has been welcomed with so much excitement. Godwill and Joshua.
I'm very much excited by this project by the Minister of Housing and Urban Development. My wish is that the project will actually come to materialize.
It is a laudable and commendable move by the government, because when you look at the town of Yaoundé, for example, there are certain routes that are really deplorable. So if they can be able to start these projects and they pull it through to completion, I think it will be a good one.
The nature of some road networks is the point of interest to Godwill, who hopes that the project will not bypass.
There are several roads in Yaoundé and Douala that are dilapidated, which need to be rehabilitated, and equally some very critical edge roads in these towns that, if they are tarred, these roads are going to ease traffic a lot, especially during rush hours on the main road. So I'm actually looking forward to it and hoping that this money will be properly spent and it's going to go a long way to ease the livelihood of Cameroonians.
Lumumba, on his part, highlights the lack of good drainages in the economic and political capitals of the country.
With the huge amount of money that have been put in place, I think it's enough for us to have good gutters. We have, for example, quarters here in Yaoundé where with the rainy season we see water running around the streets, no gutters for those water to pass through, and that is now creating mud, not good. Also public areas, even public houses, hostels that the government usually put at disposal of people that don't have means.
Despite the enthusiasm expressed by citizens about this new project, some are skeptical about its realization.
We've seen cases in the past where public projects get started but they end halfway. For example, prior to elections, where construction works that were going on, but when you drive around town, you see that some of these works are still left uncompleted. So they can be able to pull it through to completion. I think it will be a good one.
The project, which is co-funded by the World Bank, is expected to be completed on June 30, 2031, spearheaded by the Ministry of Housing and Urban Development.
The company in charge of water distribution in Cameroon, CamWater, has announced in collaboration with different municipalities to build 200 boreholes across the 10 regions of Cameroon over the next 6 months. In this light, our reporter Ngang Nadesh interviewed some Cameroonians and compiled their reactions in this report.
Cameroonians have welcomed the announcement as a step to further improve access to clean water, but with reserved judgment, wary of yet another promise that might not translate to tangible results on the ground. Fuche is one of them.
Any initiative that will make Cameroonians live better, improve our standard of living, is only acceptable and a good initiative. So I see the initiative to be a wonderful one, but I'm seeking to see the project being realized because there are many projects that have been promised and plans made and never concretized. So I'm really happy about the announcement, but skeptical about its realization. I'm looking forward to see it materialize as soon as possible.
Conscience expresses appreciation for the initiative, suggesting it would have greater impact if focused on rural communities where access to clean water is most scarce.
It sounds good to me. I mean, when I see this, I see improvement in water access across the country, especially in rural areas. I really hope that their main target is in rural communities where water is usually very scarce, and I'm sure that this is going to mean a lot for those communities because it is going to be an increase in access to clean water for households, even businesses.
Expressing optimism about the project, she stresses that timely delivery is key.
When projects like this come into such a community, I think it's really going to improve the health of the people. So I think it's a really great idea if they are really going to keep to it, because it will not make sense that they start a project like this and they don't finish. And I think the timing too is very important. If they've said within 6 months, they should do it within 6 months.
CamWater's initiative to improve access to clean water aligns with the UN's Sustainable Development Goal 6. The project is expected to benefit nearly 1.2 million people by 2045.
On to economy. In the economic context marked by persistent challenges, the Cameroon Business Association, GECAM, has called for a cabinet reshuffle, a move that has sparked conversations within public opinion regarding the real intention of the employers grouping. To assess the relevance and implications of this call, Jeffrey Tachum spoke with some economic experts and now reports.
At a time when Cameroon's economy is sailing in troubled waters, economists believe that the appeal of the Cameroon Employers Association should be understood more as a warning signal than just a political statement. Jamo Haiwang, research analyst at the Cameroon Economic Policy.
In a context of moderate growth, high tax pressure and persistent administrative bottlenecks, businesses are expressing a real sense of discomfort. So the current tax system is seen as insufficiently supportive of investment, while administrative procedures continue to hinder competitiveness and innovation. So calling for a new government mainly reflects a demand for deeper structural reform, stronger public-private dialogue, and greater coherence in economic policies.
And given the fact that the economic crisis is mostly felt by entrepreneurs in the tertiary sector, Sarah Femberger says it is their duty to speak up.
The economic situation of Cameroon concerns all sectors, especially the tertiary sector, given the fact that most of the activities are being carried out by enterprises. Therefore, they are better placed to know the economic situation of any given country. The GCAM in this case is better placed to remind the government on certain criteria because the fluctuation of prices in the market is being known.
And concerning doubts over their real intentions behind the recent public request to the President of the Republic, the Association of Cameroon Enterprises look forward to a change but should further examine the economic landscape of the country. Seraphim Baga and Jamo Haiwan once again.
We may simply recommend GCAM to study in advance the economic situation of Cameroon before claiming whatsoever. And in this case, the government has to take into consideration to the decision given by some group of enterprises to reach an equilibrium.
The real issue, therefore, is not only a change of theme, but the ability to create a more predictable, simpler, and more business-friendly environment.
In conclusion, while opinions remain divided on GCAM's call for a reshufflement in the government, experts agree that sustainable recovery will depend on concrete reforms and on government's ability to respond to the concerns of the private sector and turn economic promises into tangible actions.
The Bororo community has been assured the return of peace to areas marked by intercommunal violence. The assurance was made yesterday by Prime Minister Chief Dr. Joseph John Gute during an audience with a delegation of the Bororo Social and Cultural Development Association, Mboskuda. The focus was on the security and social challenges faced by the Bororo community across the country, particularly the recent attack on Gidado Ndu subdivision of the northwest region of Cameroon, which left 14 people dead. Let's now listen to the Mboskuda president Adamu Amadu speaking after the audience with the Prime Minister, courtesy State Media.
We came here to really express our sadness in front of the Prime Minister, head of the government, on ongoing crisis where Bororo are massacred, are murdered, that the cattle are taken away, killed even innocently. Recently, 2 days ago, they went to Gidado's village. They killed a 2-year-old child. They killed a woman of 72 years old. This has not started now. It has started 10 years ago, in 2016. The first victim was Bororo. Ongoing till now. So we are a little bit tired. Even though we reassure the government continue to fight for the peace and security in our country. We hope, as he has promised, we have seen already how they have been taking the care of the victim and how they put in place the gendarmerie post there. I think it's loable.
Out of Cameroon, DR Congo's army say it has retaken control of the South Kivu city of Uvira after the withdrawal of M23 rebels. The rebels seized Uvira in December last year and later placed the city under the responsibility of the international community. But on Monday, that was yesterday exactly, government sources announced the city's full recapture. Burkina Faso's former transitional president and alleged mastermind behind a number of coup plots has been arrested in Togo and expelled. Local sources say Paul-Henri Sandaogo Damiba was arrested in Lomé last week and tried for the attempted destabilization of Burkina Faso. He was then taken to an airport, but his destination is yet confirmed. Damiba ousted Burkinabe President Roch-Marc Christian Kabore in a 2022 coup, but 8 months later, he was overthrown by the military leader Ibrahim Traoré, who is still in power till date. U.S. President Donald Trump has today vowed that there was no going back on his goal to control Greenland, refusing to rule out taking the Arctic island by force and rounding on allies as European leaders struggle to respond. Trump's ambition, spelled out in social media posts and mock AI images to wrest sovereignty over Greenland from Denmark, has threatened to blow apart NATO, which has underpinned Western security for decades. Australian lawmakers have passed tougher laws against hate crime and gun violence in response to last month's mass shooting at a Jewish festival at Sydney's Bondi Beach. The House of Representatives voted today in favor of a new national gun buyback scheme, tighter gun license check, and a crackdown on hate crimes. New firearms rule will enable background check for gun permits with input from intelligence services. We talk sports just after this break. And in sports, the Cameroon National Paralympic Committee will today be concluding its 14th Board of Directors session at the Yaoundé Multipurpose Sports Complex. This will be their last gathering. The 2025, or rather during their last gathering, the 2025 sporting year was reviewed and a roadmap for 2026 was drawn. Also, the president of the committee, Jean-Jacques Ndudumu, hailed their past glories, where they secured 33 medals, 11 of them in gold. He also encouraged them to do better during the 2027 Olympic Games coming up in Los Angeles, the USA. The 35th Africa Cup of Nations has officially ended, with Senegal's Teranga Lions triumphing over the Atlas Lions of Morocco in Rabat. And it was an exploit that comes years after the pick up their first win in 2021 in Cameroon. In relation to this, Royal FM's Director of Information and Editorialist, who is also one of our special envoys to Morocco, Abel Belasamari, comes back to the eye-catching infrastructures. Good afternoon, Abel.
Good afternoon, Yaoundé. The 2025 African Cup of Nations stands as the most ambitious infrastructure project ever undertaken for an African football tournament. With an estimated investment of 15 to 16 billion US dollar, the competition is widely viewed as more than a month-long event. This is a full-scale operational rehearsal for the 2030 FIFA World Cup. The scale, speeds, and integration of Morocco's preparation have redefined expectations for continental hosting standards. Across 6 host cities, Rabat, Casablanca, Tangier, Agadir, Marrakech, and Fez, Morocco deployed 9 fully certified stadiums, many of which were rebuilt or comprehensively upgraded. Prince Mullah Abdullah Stadium in Rabat was reconstructed from the ground up in just 18 months, delivering 69,500-seat football-only arena with a compact design and acoustic engineering aimed at intensifying crowd noise. In Tangier, the Grand Stade de Tangier was expanded to 75,000 seats, featuring a new membrane roof and an elite broadcast infrastructure, while Casablanca historic Mohammed VI Stadium underwent a rapid modernization focus on hospitality, medical readiness, and pitch performance. A defining shift in Morocco's stadium philosophy has been the removal of electric track in key venues. The transition to football-specific layout brought spectators closer to the pitch, dramatically improving atmosphere and aligning the venue with modern FIFA and UEFA standards. The result has been a match-day experience comparable to elite tournaments outside the continent. Transport and connectivity has been central to the tournament's success. Morocco Al Burat high-speed rail has allowed fans to move seamlessly between Tangier, Rabat, Casablanca, and Marrakech in record time, while expanded team network and bus rapid transition system, particularly in Casablanca, significantly reduced urban travel times. Air infrastructure also played a key role, with Mohammed VI International Airport surpassing 11 million passengers in 2025, supported by AFCON-specific reception zone and streamlined supporters process. In terms of hospitality and team preparation, Morocco adopted an integrated hosting model, Each of the 24 participating nations was assigned a 5-star base camp pegged with a private, high-quality training facility, eliminating logistical friction. Host cities simultaneously upgraded hospitals with specific emergency units, while rapid response medical teams were embedded directly with stadium complex. All this has actually made the African Cup of Nations 2025 hosted by Morocco memorable one when it came to infrastructure. Stephanie Bisai, Jean-Bastien Tala, Eric Christian Kwam, Abel Bella Samari on special assignment in Morocco.
The indomitable Lionesses of Cameroon have been placed in Group D of the Africa Women's Cup of Nations to be hosted by Morocco come March the 17th and will run to April the 3rd. Following the draws conducted at Mohammed VI Football Complex in Rabat last week, the Confederation of African Football has made public the various match pairings per team. On March the 18th at the Fair Sports Complex, Cameroon will knock horns with Mali before taking on Ghana on March the 21st on the same turf, and finally Cabo Verde on March the 24th. Without transition, let's welcome Annie Lisette Ambassa, who has joined me with a summary of this newscast in the French language. Bon après-midi, Annie.
Bon après-midi, Zita. Médiature de 10 ans d'existence pour Royal FM ce 20 janvier 2026. L'histoire a démarré le même jour en 2016 au quartier Messassi, ici à Yaoundé. D'année en année, la radio des auditeurs sur la fréquence 88.4, fort de ces programmes aussi intéressants les uns que les autres, a su retenir l'attention des auditeurs qui se comptent aujourd'hui par milliers. Nouveau gouvernement en attente, le GCAM suggère la mise en place d'une équipe resserrée, orientée vers l'action, capable de prendre en compte les doléances formulées en août 2025. Une sortie du groupement des entreprises du Cameroun en direction du président de la République. À l'étranger, l'ancien président burkinabé Paul-Henri Sandaogo Damiba, arrêté au Togo, a été amené vers une destination non connue jusqu'à présent. Les autorités togolaises et burkinabées n'ont pas officiellement communiqué sur cette affaire, ce qui alimente la spéculation sur le sort de Damiba, accusé de tentative de déstabilisation et d'atteinte à la sûreté de l'État par le régime du capitaine Ibrahim Traoré. Et puis sport, CAN féminine Maroc 2026, les Lions indomptables sont logés dans la poule D et vont rivaliser avec le Mali, le Ghana et le Cap-Vert. La compétition démarre le 17 mars pour s'achever le 3 avril 2026 en terre marocaine.
And that was how we saw it on today's edition of the 2 p.m. News, which received technical assistance from Salomon Esana. Alan Kwekam took care of the cameras for our social media live. Production assistants Evans Williams and Jobati. Script editing and editorial coaching Abel Bella Samari. Central coordination Roger Kiek, our station manager, and general supervision by the Reverend Pastor Bisai Emmanuel Noel. For news editing and presentation, my name is Mapala Zita. Thank you all for your kind attention, and do have a festive afternoon in the company of programs over Royal FM. More news comes up at 6 p.m. Definitely a bilingual edition. But until then, stay with Raisa Parker, who has joined me for part 2 of Fresh Royal. Welcome back, beautiful Raisa.
Thank you, Mapalazita. Merci pour les informations. La radio ne s'arrête pas. On va continuer avec le programme Trésor Royal, vous l'avez dit. Et les questions restent d'actualité.